Lorraine,
Yes, ma'am.
would you like a physical agenda for this board?
You know what? I was just gonna pull it up, but maybe if you have one, Lisa, that would be fantastic. Because I,
need the code tonight.
oh, yeah.
Two,
No.
So we can,
He's gonna look at it.
I know about
Yeah.
that. yeah.
Okay, okay, so
or two,
Because you know, when I'm home, it's easy for me to pull everything up and stuff.
Hi.
And I hate to have you guys send it. It's a lot
Yeah.
that I think is wasteful.
yeah,
Yeah,
I don't believe any of our employees of the month or employee recognitions are going to be here today, so. No, unless the employee of the month shows up. It's unfortunate, he had a good story, he helped someone put out their car, on fire.
Yeah, I know that.
But we asked him to come and he's not responded yet, so we're assuming he's not coming. We're live. Hey, our mics are hot.
oh, they are. Anna, did you get a copy of that email on the circulators? About that we sent the list for the South Trim. You and I'll talk about it later. That's what I've been wanting to talk to you about. I just haven't. It's, you've been crazy, I've been crazy. Yeah, we just keep missing each other.
Yeah, I forwarded the bus stop comment to our facility
Okay.
people.
Yeah, someone reminded me of that.
Okay.
There.
This is the one that I need. This is the one.
A lot of them. Yeah, this is third.
Okay, who do we have here? We got Ed Smith, Dave Pacheco. Okay, we have a number of Senator. Staff. Online. So we have the senator staff here. We want to move that up in the agenda a little earlier since they're already online. It's up to you rather than or have them.
After the,
Because Jimmy won't be here till 11.
so we got in for, where did you want to move them?
You yeah, you want to put them on right before public comments are not on the agenda after call to order, or I mean.
You know, it's not so much.
No, but we might have a comments on matters not on the agenda, the MPC group appears, I'm not sure. So
Okay.
they're here, they're online, so I would just. I don't,
Okay,
so their time, up to you.
okay, and this is, so we'll have. Oh, so where are they at?
They're under,
4-3?
yeah.
Okay, so we'll move 4-3 and 4-4. Okay, so I'll ask for that. If we
Yeah.
can move it.
People.
Mhm. Good morning, everyone. So we'll go ahead and get started. Thank you so much for joining us today. For those that are joining us on the phone room, thank you so much for being here, and those that are joining us via Zoom. Today is a meeting for the Monterey Salinas Transit District Board of Directors meeting of February 13th, 2003. Just have a few announcements. During today's meeting, the public has several opportunities to participate. They can join in person in the board conference room. Thank you for those that are here. Members of the public are required to wear a face mask and covering and adhere to social distancing protocols. You can join the meeting via Zoom. The meeting ID is located on the agenda, and for today's meeting, it's 845-0083-6234 with the passcode 652252. You're also available to join us via telephone. The phone number is 1-669-900-6833. And if you can just please use the same meeting ID and passcode as the Zoom when you're calling via telephone. So at this time, I would like to call this meeting to order, and it is 10:04. And if we can get roll call, please.
Colonel by the Siege of Fairman.
Here.
City of Delray Oaks, Kim Shirley here. City of Gonzales, Lorraine Worthy.
Here,
City of Greenfield, Yaneli Martinez.
Here.
City of Dean White Lavar.
Present.
Larry Fisher.
Here.
City of Monterey, Ed Smith.
Ed is on, I saw him.
Present on Zoom, thank you.
City of Pacific Grove, Joe Emilio.
Joe is absent today due to a family emergency, and his alternate was unavailable.
City of San City, Marianne Arbone.
Here.
City of Salinas, Tony Barra.
Here.
City of Seaside, Dave Pacheco.
Here.
City of Soledad, Anna Velasquez.
Here.
County of Monterey, Luis Alejo.
Luis Alejo and his alternate are unavailable due to travel to the National NACO conference.
We do have a quorum with the two absent.
Okay, thank you. So we will move on to item, actually, I'm gonna go back to item 1-1. We do have a swearing in of a new board member to conduct before we move on to other items of business today. And today we are excited to have Kim Shirley, Councilwoman for the City of Delray Oaks, join our MST Board of Directors. So I will turn it over to Mr. Sidoric.
Sure. Kim, could you stand and raise your right hand, I guess? Why it's right hand, but so I, as in your name,
I, Kim Shirley,
do solemnly affirm
do solemnly affirm
that I will support and defend
that I will support and defend
the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of California
the Constitution of the United States of America and Constitution of California
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
against all enemies, foreign and domestic.
that I will bear true faith and allegiance
I will bear true faith and allegiance
to the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of California,
to the Constitution of the United States and Constitution to the State of California.
that I take this obligation freely without any mental reservation
That I take this obligation freely without any mental reservation
or purpose of evasion,
or purpose of evasion.
and that I will well and faithfully discharge
That I will and faithfully discharge
the duties upon which I am about to enter.
the duties upon which I am about to enter.
Congratulations.
There we go.
we should all know that from
Thank-
memory by now.
Yes.
I,
Thank you, Mr. Shirley, and welcome aboard.
Thank
Excited to
you.
have you.
Happy to be here.
So we will now move on to our next item on the agenda, and if we can all raise for the Pledge of Allegiance, and I will ask Director Shirley if she can lead us on the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America. And to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, I will turn it over at this time to Mr. Sidoric to give us a review of the highlights for today's agenda.
yes, and for the three newer board members, February, do not look at this as a typical agenda. We skip a month and have a workshop in January, so we double up a lot of the consent items. So this is a much longer consent agenda. I don't want to scare anyone off on their first meeting. But within the consent agenda, among the doubling of all the reports that you have, of note is a 3-year technology agreement with Remix Technologies. They're the group that helps us do our reporting of transit ridership by jurisdiction and census tract. We have an item to purchase 3 hybrid RAV4 on the state of California's Department of General Services contract. We have a resolution authorizing the CEO to execute agreements with the state of California that will help us get the $2.5 million that Senator Laird put forward on our behalf. This is a necessary step to take in order for us to claim that funding out of the budget appropriation that we had. We have our resolutions of appreciations for Senators Feinstein and Padilla, as well as Congressman Panetta. We have representatives from both the senators' offices are online now, and Congressman Panetta will be joining us in person at 11 a.m. So you may want to look at your timing on the agenda of these things as appropriate. And we have an appointment of members to the MST Mobility Advisory Committee as well on the consent agenda. Post consent, and after all of our presentations and resolutions, we have a series of action items all related to the unwinding of the state's declaration of a COVID state of emergency. And we have 4 actions for your board to take related in various cases to how we acknowledge that and move into a state of non-emergency here at MST. That concludes my review of the agenda.
Thank you, Carl, for the review of the agenda. So given some of the acknowledgements that we're going to have today, I would like to ask the Board of Directors, we're okay with, before we go into item 2, which is public comments on matters not on the agenda, if we can highlight or move items 4.3 and 4.4, which are items on our recognitions and special presentations. If we can have those now before we go on to public comments on matters not on the agenda. So if I can just, if anyone has, I guess the best way to do this is there any objections on moving those 2 items forward? Okay, so seeing no objections, then at this point, we do want to go into some special recognition. And we do have 2, as Mr. Sidorik stated, we do have 2 members, 2 staff members from Senator Dianna Feinstein's office and Senator Alex Padilla's office that are joining us this morning to receive this special resolution of appreciation provided to Senator Dianna Feinstein, who has been representing California since 1992, has been the longest serving woman as senator. We're really excited for all of her support throughout the years, for her over 30 years of support in the Senate and advocating for the people of California. But most recently, we really want to make sure that we acknowledge her support, as well as Senator Alex Padilla's support in securing community project funding within the Consolidated Appropriations Act of 2023, which included $2.5 million for zero emission buses and $750,000 for planning and design of a microgrid to enhance energy storage and resilience for Monterey transit. So we, on behalf of our residents, on behalf of our staff at MST, on behalf of the Board of Directors, want to say thank you so much for acknowledging how critical public transit is to our communities, especially for many of our communities that need to get to school, for many of our students that need to get to school, for many of our families that need to access healthcare, and for many that need to go use public transit for employment. So we, on behalf of the Board of Directors, again, of Monterey Salinas Transit, we passed and adopted resolution 2023-25 this 13th day of February 2023 in recognition of Senator Dianna for her just for her unwavering support of public transit.
And we have on the line from Senator Feinstein's office, Frida Haber-Pachter, and I'm not certain if it's you, Frida, or if there's somebody else on your staff. You're the first one that I see in the conference though, so.
Yes, we also have Joanne from our San Francisco district office and Zach Vaden as well from our San Francisco office.
Great. Okay, just on behalf of MST staff, and as you heard from our board of directors, please pass along our thanks and appreciation to Senator Feinstein.
Of course, thank you so much. She really appreciates it, and we'll make sure to pass it along.
And if I could just add, this is Joanne Hayes White. I'm Senator Feinstein's Northern California director. And as Frida stated, Frida's a legislative assistant. She's in DC, and Zach Vaden and I work in San Francisco. But we, on behalf of Senator Feinstein, we appreciate the resolution. She was certainly very pleased to support the funding request, and appreciate the sentiment about her dedication and years of service. She's always been a champion for public transit funding. We were all very pleased to see that you were awarded this funding, and I wish all of you the best. Thank you.
Thank you, Joanne. Thank you so much. Please give her our appreciation, and thank you, Frida, Joanne, and Zach for joining us this morning. So at this time, let me just open it up really quick. Carl, we may, just for any comments from the board of directors before we move on to our next recognition. Okay, do we have, okay, so we will.
I am looking to see if there's anyone from Senator Padilla's office on the call. If there is, I'd appreciate them to identify themselves. It was uncertain at the time of on Friday whether they would be here in person or via Zoom. Is there anyone representing Senator Padilla on the Zoom call at this point?
Yeah, if you can please raise your hand, because I'm not seeing.
Okay, then I would say we move on.
Okay, so what we'll do is we'll move on and we'll wait to have the recognition as part of our recognition items. And then we'll see if they're on at that time.
Sounds good, thank you.
Perfect, thank you, directors. So we'll move on now. At this time, we'll go into public comments on matters not on the agenda. So any members of the public may address the board on any matters related to the jurisdiction of MST, but that are not included on the agenda. There is a limit of no more than 3 minutes. If you can please adhere to that time, and if you are here in the conference room with us, if you can please come up to the podium and state your name as well. If you're joining us via Zoom, if you can please raise your hand. That way we can make sure that we recognize you and unmute you as well. So I'm going to start with comments from those that are joining us here in the boardroom. So at this time, any public comments on matters not on the agenda from those that are joining us here in the boardroom?
Yes, I'm Donna Marks, and I'm a writer of the Monterey Transit System. And since you've changed the bus 18, which went to MPC, Monterey Peninsula College in Monterey, there's over 300 people that have been dislodged and having to walk a 1.5 miles to 2 miles. And I'm in a class that's called adaptive PE, myself and another student of ours. We've fallen. There's no way to get up to the college. And I live in Seaside too. And you guys have stopped the bus line. 18 only goes from Marina to San City and back. So the bus line you had 18 that went to the college, went to Monterey, went to Seaside. There's no bus line where I live from Broadway to the bus line in San City. So there's buses every hour, bus B, bus A, that they stop, they come around Broadway, and I'm sitting there and they don't stop. The bus lines are not being used. So if they can incorporate those two problems we're having, we have a lot of people that are not able to go to school for Monterey Peninsula College that have wheel access. I have a handicap. I had to be down and go back to the doctor. My legs and my feet, I have 6,000 stitches in these legs. And I have been re-injured because I'm having to walk. And then there's other students that that have autism, you know, I know you have I know it's 3 minutes. Let me just say this real quick. I know you have the bus line, the handicap bus. But there's of us that still want to be mobile as much as we can, because either you take the bus and you can't take you have the cab service that I can use. It's 10 a month, which should be incorporated to 12 a month. Because of us having to take a cab to get to physical therapy or go to school, and I'm trying to graduate, I still have another year. I had to drop my classes because I tried walking up the hill for 3 days. It was 15 miles from my house to the bus, get off and up to the school. It was 15 miles in 3 days, 5 miles a day, and I clocked. So if you could take it into consideration, I see you said you would like to have a write-up. I do have photos of what it looks like walking up there, the curves and the walks to get up to the school district. It is the Broadway, excuse me, where the bus drops you off down at Fremont has a 6-way. And the stoplights, there's 4, and then they're going off. And it's very dangerous if you have a handicap or you're trying to get off the bus, get on the bus. And I do know that they have bus 94 is the only bus in Seaside, if you can question, that has it. So that will pick me up, and that's like, and they only go for 3 hours every 2 hours. So that's all I have to say. Is there anything else you would like to know?
Thank you, Ms. Rio, for that information.
Yeah,
We
so they
will-
can take it into consideration, because I mean, if you
We-
need to get I can
we
get
definitely
probably.
will. So I apologize, but your time is up.
Thank you, thank you.
But thank you so much for coming and for sharing your concerns. We do have, if we can make sure that we
Okay,
have someone.
I have
take
one more
down
thing
your
I would like to
information.
say, which was on your paper. It said there to make an email and send it to what is the grievances and what's going on. Should I do
Yeah,
that?
so our staff will provide you with that
you.
information before you leave today. Thank you so much. So at this time, do we have any? Thank you.
Hello,
Hello.
my name is David. Oh, thank you. My name is David Signer, and I'm a writer of the MST. I live in Pacific Grove, and the 2 bus line that used to come down Funston to Montecito and go across now crosses up above. It goes up to Presidio and Patterson, which is very steep. And it's difficult for me to get to the bus stop now. I was wondering if there was a way to add a bus stop at the top of Funston or on Patterson, or, you know, reinstate the 2 to come down Funston. There are other riders that I've heard complain about that as well. Also, there's the 1 and 2 kind of do the same, go from the same place, from the same start at Monterey Transit Center up to Forest Hill, and one goes all the way up into Pacific Grove, and the other one kind of skirts the edge of Pacific Grove. If there's on the I think it's the one that goes toward Forest Hill, it goes by Asilomar, and there's no stop on that. I guess it's, I don't know which way it goes, south or north, but there's a stop on the 2 that goes the other direction, but not a stop on the 1 that goes by Asilomar. And that's about all I wanted to say. Thank you very much.
Thank you, David. Thank you for those comments. So if we can have your information as well before you leave today, so we can make sure that we provide you with a response. So thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Do we have any additional public comments from those that are joining us here in our boardroom?
We have Christopher Wilmot online.
Yeah, so let me go out to Zoom now. So I do see Christopher had his hand up. So Christopher, if you can please unmute yourself. Christopher, can you please unmute yourself? Christopher, can you hear us?
I'm sorry, did you call on Janet?
No, I called on Christopher.
Sorry.
He has his hand raised. Okay, so let me move on then to Janet, and then I'll come back.
Hello, hello. I'm here.
Okay.
The app was acting up on me.
Okay, no worries. We have you online. Thank you. Go ahead.
Yes, I'm standing at the bus stop 6951 where the A used to come up to. I think it'd be preferable if the A and the B came up here every 15 minutes because then it'd be like, a lot easier for people who, are not mobile to get up to the college. Because basically right here, that's where it goes. Sorry. What's the word I'm looking for? It would be preferable to basically get the Jazz A and the Jazz B to come up the hill. I'm also looking forward to basically trying that we advocate for longer distance routes, like such as going from Salinas either to Gilroy or Salinas going to Santa Cruz, because there are plenty of people who are trying to get down there to get up here. Hello?
Yes, we're listening to you.
Yes, it would be a good idea to get the Jazz A and the Jazz B to come up the hill on Bohm Street, I think it is. The one that stops at MST, literally right here. Because that would actually work out because then it'd be a lot easier to make more connections via the 20, Instead of having to walk all the way down just to barely miss the bus. Does it make sense?
Yes, thank you for that information, Christopher.
Thank you. Have a good one.
Thank you. Thank you. So we are, make sure, Christopher, if you can please put your information in the chat so our staff can contact you.
Thank you.
And then
I'm
we
gonna try. How do I do this?
thank you. And then we'll move on at this time. We do have Janet up 4. Janet, you have your hand raised. If you can please unmute yourself.
Yes, my name is Janet Wilson. And I'm a resident of Pacific Grove and a captive audience on the bus. I've been riding the bus for long enough that I've seen bus drivers that just started when I started retire already. So the problem is every time you make changes in the bus, you make the service in my neighborhood worse. I live up in the Del Monte Park area, the same bus route, the 1 and 2 that the gentleman earlier was describing. You need to return the bus to the Del Monte Park area. It's skirting the neighborhood. I have to now walk 15 minutes to get to the bus. It's not acceptable. It also doesn't run after 7 o'clock at night in the entire city of Pacific Grove. I used to be able to just go down to the corner like anybody else and get on the bus and ride into town. It was great. You guys have told me so many different ways of how to get places using alternative transportation. I should point out that I'm a totally blind person who uses a guide dog. The problem is I don't want to use the alternate transportation. I want to be able to walk down to the bus corner and catch the bus just like anybody else. But well, that's a little different now because nobody can just walk to the corner and catch the bus now. We all have to make that. For other people, it's probably a 10-minute walk to get to that bus stop. The problem is my total blindness was not keeping me from riding the MST. But the fact that you have made the bus stops inaccessible to me has caused my disability to rear its ugly head and to become a major problem in my life. There are no sidewalks in this neighborhood. So when I say I'm walking 15 minutes, I am walking 15 minutes in the street to get to the closest bus stop. It is not a very safe, accessible thing to do. Add rain, add wind, it's not safe. I don't want to use the rides program. It costs you guys way more. I want to walk to the corner and be able to join the mainstream population and ride the bus. I am not going to give up until you put my bus back. Thank you.
Thank you, Janet. Thank you for those comments. Thank you for sharing just some of the challenges. I'll wait to just some of the remarks until after we have everyone that has provided comments. So make sure as well, Janet, that we have your contact information. If you're able to put it in the chat, that would be very helpful.
Can I just say that I addressed the board 2 months ago and you have my contact information. I do not have the ability to put it into the chat.
Okay.
So I think you have it. It's Janet Wilson in Pacific Grove.
Thank you, Janet. So we do have your information. I was confirmed that we have that as well as Mr. Wilmot. So thank you for that.
Okay. And I do apologize. I tried to come to the board meeting last month and I used rides, but it didn't work.
Janet, I apologize, but we do have 3 minutes per comment.
Okay, I hadn't heard my bell. Goodbye.
Anybody else's comment? So I'm gonna move on now to Mrs. Melody Baum. I'm not sure if I pronounced that correctly. If you could introduce yourself.
Hi, thank you. So I realized that I spoke earlier, but I think I was in the wrong. Should I go ahead and repeat what I said before? Okay. By the way, as far as my computer is concerned, there's no chat. So something might have to be turned on in regards to chat. I don't have it. So I think most would agree that MPC is one of the most important places in our community. Perhaps there's one thing you haven't considered in taking away the bus routes that go up the hill to the top and in some way the center of our campus. With that bus come passengers onto campus who are not attending MPC, perhaps on their way to Target or wherever. I believe this plants a seed in their minds of attending college or becoming a returning student to college. It contributes to their feeling comfortable at MPC, just the fact of being in the middle of it and thereby seeing it. Also, if I were limited in my physical mobility, as some of our students are, I would want as much independence as possible. I think that's what Janet's talking about. The bus, the one that everybody takes, provides this. It's great that rides, taxis, and van pools are sometimes available, but I know from the experiences of our students that it's often not possible for rides to be on time because it's juggling so many passengers and routes. When a student has to attend class at a specific time, it's unlikely to be practical. And Janet makes a good point too about just doing better in the environment and not using all this costly to be able to use the transport that everybody takes. Also, what Chris was saying about where he was MPC. He was at the top of the hill in MPC. While the current routes perhaps check the box of, quote, serving MPC, end quote, really, that current MPC bus stop stands at the base of a hill. So now there's just one more barrier to getting to the heart of the campus. Previously, students could be dropped off at that centrally located bus stop at the top of the hill, right to where they need to be, near admissions, student services, our welcome center, and basic skill labs that are open to all students, but specifically designed for students with disabilities. It seems because of someone's good intentions that the bus stop was put right there, the one you saw Chris standing next to. MST riders now not only lose an opportunity to take that imaginative leap of visualizing themselves as an MPC student, they now, the most vulnerable of these riders, face this hill, which is an inequitable barrier. Thank you.
Thank you, Melody, for those comments. And so I will move on now at this time to Sloan Campy.
Yes, good morning, chair members. Thank you, Sloan Campy, Transportation Manager for CSU Monterey Bay. CSUMB wants to express our gratitude for the staff to finding a way to run line 25 this semester, which was uncertain prior to the start of the spring, the spring 2023 semester. We are really grateful for this vital connection between the region's largest university and the region's largest city. And we and our students are very thankful that this is continuing to run. We hope that it can continue to run in the subsequent semesters. And we want to remain a strong partner in overcoming any obstacles that may hinder line 25 from running in the future. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Scampi, for those comments. Okay, and I think those are all the comments I see. If you can just confirm that, please. I don't see any other hands raised.
Yeah, try to be correct. Sure.
Okay, so seeing that there's no additional comments, then I will close the public comment period at this time. And thank you. I just want to say thank you to everyone that joined us today to make those public comments in regards to the importance of.
Hello? Hello?
Hello, were you going to make a public comment? I didn't see your hand raised.
I'm on the phone.
Jim Fink.
Oh, okay. Okay. Hello, Mr. Fink.
Yes. Thank you.
We're gonna give you comment. Go ahead.
Yeah, and I'm watching my watch to see that I keep the 3 minutes. But I've gotten numerous VTA coach operators in and around Diridon and in and around Gilroy telling me that they've had their customers wondering whatever happened to MST and the connections to get to Salinas and Monterey. People in the San Jose area, particularly San Jose State, are very much missing the MST connection. And as I mentioned in the other meeting, also, people at St. Ansgar's and St. Paul's churches are missing having any kind of bus service along San Joaquin and Pajaro streets. And I, for one, wish that the 43 would be looped back that way. But I want to see service come back to San Jose and Santa Cruz, the line 78. I miss that. It makes it a lot more difficult commuting back and forth between San Jose and Monterey Salinas. So I'd like to see the San Jose direct service and the Santa Cruz service restored. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Fink. We appreciate your comments on the line 78 on the line 43 as well. Okay, any additional comments at this time? Okay, I see no additional comments. However, I do see Christopher has his hand up. Christopher, unless we already made public comments, unless it's an additional comment, or you just didn't. You just forgot to
Yeah. I would have to rebuttal what everyone has said. MST has been doing a good job with most of the current lines, but there's still most. Yeah.
I'm gonna have to stop you. So we're not rebutting at this time. It's just public comments on items not on the agenda. So
Sorry.
To the rebuttal process at this point. Thank you. So we just want to thank everybody for all of the information that they provided to us. We will go back and look at what some of those issues are and be able to come back. I just want to make sure that I do say, as part of the board, we've been working on this Better Bus Network for the past, I want to say the past 2 years. And had opportunities, avenues to be able to gather and provide comments on our. So given the fact I know that we started in December 10th, we appreciate all the comments that are coming in terms of some of the different challenges that are happening, and we'll work to try to minimize those. However, as I said, I just want to make sure our public does understand that we did enter into a very extensive 2-year process before the changes went into effect. So we'll go back. I think it gives us an opportunity also to look at what some of those impacts to some of those changes and looking at how we proceed, but just wanted to make sure that I did say that for our committee and also for the comments that were made today. So thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. You have a good one.
Thank you, you as well. Okay, so at this point, we will move on to our next items on our agenda. At this time, we have consent agenda items, and we have 17, item 3-1 to 317. So do any members, do any board of directors wish to pull an item from the consent calendar for further discussion or comment? Okay, seeing none, then let me take it out to the public. Do any members of the public wish to pull an item from the consent calendar for further discussion or comment? Okay, seeing that we have none, then I will entertain a motion to approve items 3-1 to 317.
Madam Chair, I'd like to make a motion for approval of those items.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor. Do we have a second?
Second the motion.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Can we do roll call, please?
Director Barron,
Yes.
Director Shirley,
Yes.
Yes.
Director Martinez,
Yes.
Labar,
Aye.
Director Fisher, do you approve?
Yes.
Director
Yes.
Director Emilio is absent. Director Barrera.
And he's joining us via telephone.
Correct.
Mhm.
Director Barrera, do you approve? Are you on mute?
Yes.
Director Carbone,
Yes.
Director Pacheco,
Yes.
Director Velasquez,
Yes.
and Director Alejo is absent. So this motion passed. With Emilio absent and Alejo absent.
Perfect, thank you. So we'll move on to our next item on our agenda, and at this time, now we go into recognitions and special presentations. So we'll start with item 4-1, and this is our employee of the month. Our coach operator, and I will turn it over to Mr. Norman Lutavuki to provide us with that information.
Thank you. Appreciate the opportunity. Norman Tutavuki, your Chief Operating Officer, here to present to you our Employee of the Month for February 2023. Unfortunately, today, Mr. Mago Rodriguez, who we're recognizing, cannot attend in person, and he's not able to join us online. In December of 2022, while operating the Line 49 in the city of Salinas, operator Rodriguez noticed the vehicle was engulfed in flames. Using his quick actions and the training that he received, operator Rodriguez pulled his coach over to a safe location. He quickly located and removed the fire extinguisher inside of his coach and provided the extinguisher to an individual who was struggling to put the fire out. His quick response to the emergency resulted in the car fire being extinguished, preventing further damage to the vehicle. Operator Mago's efforts in this situation and his quick thinking are an example to all MST employees. As a professional coach operator for MST, he is presented with a multitude of situations daily, some of which require extraordinary and immediate action. In this example, operator Rodriguez responded exactly as expected. He pulled over at a safe location. He aided a member of our community who needed his help. And without his quick thinking, the situation could have evolved into a much larger and more dangerous situation. Operator Rodriguez has been serving MST's customers and the community since 2014, and he has received 6 safe driving awards during his employment. It's for these actions that he took that we are able to recognize him, and we're pleased with everything that he did. So please join me in recognizing Mago as the Employee of the Month for November 2022. Mago is an excellent example of how to respond in these type of situations. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that, and I know that Mago's not here, Mr. Rodriguez is not here with us, but please extend our thank you to him, and it's exciting to be able to not just, you know, his dedication obviously to safety, in the workplace, but also outside of the workplace, and his quick response and dedication to really keeping not just, his ridership, safe, but also those that were in need. So please extend that thank you on behalf of the board.
We'll pass that along. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Director, so we'll move on to our next item on the agenda, which is item 4-2, 25 years of service, service anniversary to Mrs. Kim Moore, and Mr. Norman Tutubuki will share. some
Yes,
of
thank
those
you.
highlights.
My pleasure. I appreciate it. Thank you for the opportunity again to present to you Kim Moore. She's not able to join us today as well, but I wanted to recognize her for 25 years of service to MST. First of all, as a female working in the maintenance industry, that's a tough act to follow. She's been serving since 2000 and, well, actually longer than 25 years. So in her daily duties, she acts as a to newer mechanics. She trains them. She teaches them all of the things that they need to do in order to maintain our buses and our vehicles. Like I said, she's been working in the industry for 25 years as a female. She sets a great example. And for these reasons and others, we'd like to congratulate her for 25 years of dedicated experience to MST for maintaining our buses, maintaining our vehicles, and also serving as a liaison and a trainer to junior employees who are learning to gather the skills necessary so that they can move up. She's a mechanic B. So we have a mechanic C, a B, and an A. So she's in the second tier of our mechanic series. Thank you.
Thank you. And is she joining us this morning?
No, she's not able to join us this morning.
Oh, okay. Well, please again, extend our congratulations to her. 25 years of service. That's amazing. I think we've seen as part of MST that we've had a lot of different opportunities to really celebrate a lot of the anniversaries of our workforce, and many of them are in the 20-year range, and so it's really exciting to see that commitment they have. And also you obviously have to be able to love your job to be able to do it for 25 years. So please, let Ms. Kim Moore, we're extremely thankful for her commitment to MST and supporting women in the workforce, especially in those non-traditional industries and non-traditional job classifications. Please tell her thank you, and we really truly appreciate her.
We'll share that. Thank you.
Thank you. And I will open it up just before we move on. I will open it up to any of our directors that would like to say a few words, although I know she's not here, but Norm will be able to pass on that information.
Chair, yes, I would just like to extend my gratitude and appreciation to Kim for actually the chair pulled the words out of my mouth on a woman in a non-traditional job and as a mentor to other women in the field so that they could, explore and get out there and be able to do a job in non-traditional job. So just great appreciation from myself to Kim.
Thank you. Okay, any other directors before we move on? Okay, so we'll move on to our next item on the agenda. And this is, so we already did item 4-3, resolution of appreciation to Senator Dianne Feinstein. We do have now at this moment, let me see, Carl, if you can help me if there's anyone from Senator Alex Padilla's office.
I don't see a name that I recognize. So if there is anyone from Senator Padilla's office on this call, please identify yourself. There has been some turnover on the senator's staff, and I've not yet met everybody there.
Okay, I don't see anyone.
Yeah,
Okay.
we had an indication that someone from their Fresno office may be coming to our meeting in person, or they may be showing up via Zoom. Perhaps there was a difficulty with that. That was
Okay.
last communication was Friday. And a quick point, if I may, there's a reference made to a chat feature during Zoom. We do not activate our chat during our Zoom board meeting. So
Thank you
for those of you who are
clarifying that.
wondering where it is, it's never been there since we've been doing this. And I was just confirm that with our IT staff. So if you're looking for the chat feature on our meetings, you may stop.
Yeah, thank you. Apologize for that. Thank you for that clarification. I think for all of us that are on Zoom, a lot of times we use that chat feature. So thank you for that clarification. I will not ask individuals to put their information on the chat moving forward. Okay, so with that clarification, then, you know, I just want to pause for a bit, even though I know Senator Alex Padilla or his staff is not here, but to recognize his contributions and his support as well. Along with Senator Dianne Feinstein with the Consolidated Appropriations Act of 2023 for the 2.5 million for zero emission buses and 750,000 for planning and design of a microgrid to enhance energy and storage and resilience for Monterey Salinas Transit. Again, I think it's really important, especially the work that Senator Padilla has done, not only at the state, but now at the Congress, and making sure that you know, it's important for us to be able to have those partnerships, and the support that they provide to transit, to public transit, is really invaluable. So we also want to thank him on behalf of the MST Board of Directors, on behalf of the staff, on behalf of the residents of Monterey County. We want to say thank you for the support to public transit. And then at this time, we'll move on to, we're gonna skip 4-5 to make sure that Congressman Panetta is here at 11. We'll move on to 4-6 to receive a presentation on the transit-oriented development planning study, and I will turn this over to Mrs. Michelle Overmeyer.
Good morning, board members. Michelle Overmeyer, Director of Planning and Innovation. I do have a presentation for you for item 4-6. I do want to let you know that the Federal Transit Administration has indicated that they'd like to see a strong land use and transportation connection when they award federal funds. Because MST is seeking a fairly large capital investment grant for the SURF busway and bus rapid transit project, and we will be seeking more federal funding for Salinas bus rapid transit in the future. MST did apply for a grant to conduct a transit-oriented development corridor planning study between Salinas and Monterey. And with the help of Congressman Panetta, we received a grant award last year. So the transit-oriented development planning study is underway, and Mike Iswalt of Kimley Horn will give you this presentation on what we've been up to.
Great, thank you, Michelle. Good morning. I'm Mike Iswalt from Kimley Horn. It's a pleasure to be here today to talk with the board and the public about the work that Michelle and I have been doing on the transit-oriented development planning study. Next slide, please. So there's three things we'd like to talk through today. The first is just an overview of the study. Second is we've just completed our background conditions analysis, and we'll give you a quick summary of the some of the high-level findings from that. And then we'll talk through the outreach and the implementation, which is really the next phase of the project. Next slide, please. Next slide. So the study area that we're looking at is really 5 different study areas around the SURF BRT alignment. So the SURF BRT alignment is shown up here in orange. So from Monterey to Salinas, and we are looking at 5 study areas. One in downtown Salinas, and this is looking at primarily around that downtown station, but we're also looking at east along the Alisal corridor. In the city of Marina, we're looking at a study area which roughly follows Reservation Road and Del Monte Boulevard. And this is capturing the north end of the busway. This is the dedicated busway, the 6-mile segment right in the middle of the SURF alignment. We are looking at the around CSUMB. This is the area around the 5th Street Transit Station. In Sand City and Seaside, we're looking at an area around Fremont and Del Monte as well. And this is capturing the the Sand City Station, which is the southern terminus of the dedicated busway segment for surf. And then around Monterey and Seaside, we're looking at areas around Fremont and also around Del Monte. So these are really some of the major areas around some of the major stations along surf. Next slide, please. This is a map just showing you the alignment and some of those station locations for surf. The FTA Small Starts grant application that went in a couple months ago had estimates for the bus rapid transit surf service. And those daily ridership estimates were 2,300 trips in the base year and 2,800 trips in the 2040 horizon year. So our study is trying to look at how can we try to increase ridership on that by looking at land use and some strategies to help get people to the surf corridor. Next slide, please. So our study objectives. So really primarily we're looking at how can we increase transit ridership on surf, but also on other MST transit routes as well. And there's really 4 additional objectives that we're trying to use the study to help strengthen. So one is strengthening regional collaboration. So Michelle and I have a TAC, a technical advisory committee for the project, which includes representatives from all of the cities, as well as CSUMB, TMC, and other regional agencies. The study is really trying to look at what are some TOD opportunity sites and areas around the surf corridor, and what are some best practices to try to incentivize more development. Of course, with everyone doing housing elements and affordable housing being on everyone's front of everyone's mind right now, there's a number of things that we're looking at to try to promote that along the corridor. Third is then identifying the what we call first and last mile access to the transit corridor. So different types of transportation projects, bicycle projects, pedestrian projects. We've already heard on the call today a number of folks raise different issues about getting to bus stops. So what can we do to try to improve access? And then last is then to help to make surf and other transit projects along this area as competitive as possible for grant funding. Next slide, please. So our scope really has 3 different elements. So we've just completed the background conditions. So this was looking at those 5 areas and looking at land use and transportation projects in each of those areas and identifying various opportunities and constraints. The second, which is spanning across our project, is various outreach. So we just wrapped up a couple of rounds of outreach with focus groups. So one was with various community-based organizations and advocacy groups, and one was with some one-on-one interviews with developers. And then we have some community meetings, which will hold a little bit later in the project around the June timeframe. And now we're into this last phase, which is developing the implementation strategy. So this is looking for those TOD opportunity sites, identifying the various transit access and transportation demand management TDM strategies, as well as trying to estimate what those ridership and other transit benefits would come with those different strategies. And then we'll be developing various implementation actions for MST and for the cities to consider going forward. Next slide. That's just showing where we are. Okay, next slide, please. So in terms of background conditions, we did a pretty thorough, comprehensive look at all of the different plans that MST, that the cities have been working on. There's lots of activity along the corridor in the various cities, updating land use plans, updating housing elements for the 6th cycle, lots of different transportation plans being done out there. So this was really trying to put together all of those, documenting all of those different projects and making sure that we're trying to incorporate all of those things into our plans here. Next slide. So transit-oriented development really consists of a variety of components. And all of these things work together to really help to support high quality transit, and the surf corridor or the surf busway and BRT project will be delivering a higher quality of transit service. And so all of these elements around that surf corridor will be improving access to the surf stations, various opportunities for improving public places and placemaking, looking for opportunities for equitable development, for affordable housing, increasing development densities where it makes sense, and then creating those comfortable walking experiences for people to get to these locations. Next, please. There's there's lots of great examples of transit-oriented development, high density, mixed use projects that are currently happening in the area. These are just a couple of examples. The Independent in Sand City, the Salinas Gateway Senior Apartments, which are across from the Intermodal Transportation Center, the Tannery Arts Center in Santa Cruz, Ocean Street Apartments in Santa Cruz. So there's a good combination of things and templates that we can look to in the corridor in neighboring cities such as Santa Cruz. If you go to the next slide, please. There's also a lot of other in other parts of the region. There's a couple of locations around BART stations. We just wanted to include kind of showing some of the diversity that can often come with TOD development. The project E is the Mayfair project, which is adjacent to the Del Norte station in El Cerrito, California. This has sort of a traditional six stories, so 5 levels of residential over ground floor commercial, but then study area F is something called Credence. This is, of course, Credence Clearwater Revival. We're also from El Cerrito. This is an example of 3 levels over live work units, so actually not having ground floor commercial. And that's kind of one of the things which we heard from developers is really to be able to have flexible space on that first level, because sometimes commercial retail demand can often be difficult to find space for. And then G is the Monarch Inn Senior Housing in King City, which is a proposed 3-story residential development. And so I think we're kind of showing that there's a range of what TOD can be in terms of height, in terms of use, and how that's applied across the corridor. Next slide, please. Next slide. So for outreach and implementation, so we had a focus group of community-based organizations. So we had 9 different participants from 8 organizations. And we got lots of great input on things about first and last mile connectivity, ease of use, boosting awareness for various transit changes, and trying to generate some interest in the SURF BRT project, the need for flexibility and various incentives. Next slide, please. And then we had a couple of conversations with developers and architects. We were really asking them about what were some of the conditions for housing. And there's definitely a feeling that there are strong market conditions for a whole range of different types of housing, including affordable housing. They were less sanguine on the commercial development demand in the area. I think some of that is just coming out of the pandemic. I think there's definitely a lot of pressure on retail. So there was we also heard a lot about different constraints, including some of the water issues with the water districts, some community resistance issues and zoning. But developers are using a number of the state laws that have come into play in the last couple of years around, such as State Bill 330, which allows for some streamlining of meetings and things like that, and also density bonus law. Next slide. So we're really using the background conditions and the outreach to help to inform the transportation analysis in the implementation phase of the plan. And so we're looking at various opportunity sites to be able to increase TOD and increase ridership, and then translating land use into various TOD opportunities across the corridor and working with cities to identify best practices. And then really helping to align those strategies with general plans, housing elements, and other regional documents. Next slide. So we're wrapping up that first round of outreach. We're now finalizing those TOD opportunity sites with the cities. We're now working into the developing the various projects and strategies. We're continuing to work with our partners in the TAC further engagement in April. We then have community meetings in June. We'll then be working on a draft plan and then coming back to the board in the fall. Next slide. So if there's any questions, or I'll turn that back over to Michelle then.
Thanks, Mike. So I guess just to wrap it up, I did want to highlight that he said we're going to be having community meetings in June. We'll push that information out to all of the board members, and you can send that out to your constituents because we'd like to see community participation there. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Michelle. So, directors, I know at this time, if you have some questions, I do see Director LeVar has his hand up in terms of some of the information that was presented to us. I would ask if we can pause for a few minutes and then come back to this item for questions, if that's possible. We do have our congressman that is here joining us. And we want to be able to be respectful of his time. I know he is super busy and want to make sure that we have the opportunity to acknowledge him. So if we could do that, directors, I'm going to pause and then we'll come back to Mike and Michelle for any comments on what was presented to us as well. Okay, so thank you. Appreciate the flexibility. So Carl is going to
The resolution here.
get the resolution, but if we can have our congressman come and join us in the plant, and want to make sure that we acknowledge and appreciate all his support for public transit. And so I'll begin with just the introduction of the resolution. Congressman Panetta, thank you so much for joining us this morning. And whereas, let me just read a couple of this information on the resolution. Whereas Congressman Jimmy Panetta has served in the United States House of Representatives since 2017, representing the Monterey Bay region of California's 19th, formerly 20th congressional district. And whereas Congressman Panetta, throughout the 6 years within the United States Congress, has consistently supported legislation and funding initiatives that enhanced and improved access to public transit. And whereas Congressman Panetta was successful in securing community project funding within the Consolidated Appropriations Act of 2023, including 2.5 million zero-emission buses and 750,000 for the design and planning of a microgrid to enhance energy storage and resilience for Monterey Salinas Transit. And Congressman Panetta has acted as a strong advocate for residents of Monterey County who depend on public transportation. Whereas Congressman Panetta has made a substantial and lasting contribution to the improvement of public transportation throughout Monterey County. Therefore, it is our pleasure, and we resolve that the Board of Directors give the sincerest appreciation, Congressman Panetta, for your continued advocacy and support of the residents of Monterey County.
Thank you. Here's a resolution from the board. Thank you, Congressman.
Appreciate this.
And we were just in a presentation as you came in on a transit-oriented development study that was funded with the federal grant that you supported for us, and it was related to our SURF busway and BRT, which is another federal program that you have supported for us. So the timing on this agenda is really, I guess, it really ties together well the important role that the federal government plays in partnering with MST to serve our community. So thank you. And Chair, sure.
Yeah, if we can, so before we open it up to our comments, if we have some comments and then we can, if you can share some words, Congressman Panetta, that would be great.
Sure. Thank you very much. I'm obviously humbled by this resolution, but Madam Chair, I just want to first of all express my appreciation for your service, for the board's service. Dealing with Monterey Salinas Transit is something, as Carl knows well, and I've told him this, is very personal to me. Obviously, as a kid growing up here, in order to prevent my mother from getting mad at us when we would not hitchhike, we were fortunate enough that we had MST out to Carmel Valley. And I remember when that route first opened up back in the late 70s. It was something that I relied upon quite often in order to basically do what we did back in the 70s and 80s, and that's get away from home and get out and about. And so it's obviously knowing how important it was for a kid out in Carmel Valley, but also realizing how important it is for other members of our communities to be connected with one another, to be connected to employment, to be connected to our economy, to be connected to our livelihood. So truly, truly, it is my personal appreciation for all of the work that you all do, for all of the work that all of the employees of MST do for this community, is why I'm inspired to continue doing the best that I can at the federal level in a professional manner to ensure that MST obviously continues to remain an integral part of our community, make sure that it remains to connect our communities, but do so in a sustainable way. And so I'm very proud that we're able to not only get the funding for certain projects, but get this community funding project money, over $3 million, for these sustainable measures, be it the clean energy buses that you'll now be able to purchase, but also the plans for this microgrid system that I think is very, very important for this community, this state, but also this country to start looking into where we need to go to continue to focus on renewables and getting off the grid so that we can ensure that our power is still coming in and our buses are still up and running. So like I said, personally and professionally, I want to thank you, but also personally and professionally, I want to make sure that we together continue to do our job so that MST is an integral part of this community for the people of this community. So thank you very much for this acknowledgement. I'm humbled by it, but I think as we all know, we continue to do good work when we work together, but boy, we got a lot more to do, and I look forward to doing it with you.
Thank you so much, Congressman Panetta, and thank you for your just, unwavering commitment to the residents of Monterey County and the partnerships and MST. So we really appreciate that. So I want to open it up for any comments of our board of directors before we take some photos. Board of directors, let's start with any joining us here in the board chamber. Any comments?
Chair, yes, I just want to express my appreciation for all that you do here in Monterey County. So, and what you do for MST. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Appreciate that. It's funny, let me just kind of diverge a little bit. There was a great op-ed in, I think it was the Washington Post this weekend, and it talked about distractions versus, do you govern by distraction or do you govern by policy? And as you were reading the resolution, it reminded me, I came in 2017. So I came in with the presidency that created a lot of distractions. I came in which we had 2 impeachments. I came in, we've had a pandemic. I came in when we had an insurrection on January 6th of, 2021. And then we had January 6th this year of 2023, when it took us 15 votes to get a speaker. So there's a lot of distractions out there. And I truly believe that if that is all people see, that's when they really start losing faith in our institutions. So it's nice that we can actually do things like this that actually give people faith in our government, that the government can actually help people, help MST, and obviously help our community. So thank you, Mayor Carbone.
Thank you.
Thank you. So I will take it out. Anyone else? If not, I will take it out to those that are board of directors that are joining us via Zoom. And I do see Mayor Labarra has his hand up. Mayor Labarra, if you can unmute yourself.
Thank you, Chair and Congressman. I think I've told you this before, but one of the things I absolutely admire about you is you work as a team member, and you're a federal team representative up there. You're doing a tremendous job. And these investments you're able to secure for MST are investments for our community. And I just want to highlight what you said. It is about policy. It's about getting real things done. And you have just been really, really good at doing that. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Appreciate that, Mike.
Okay, director, so thank you so much. So at this time, we would like to take a photo, if possible before.
Yeah.
Okay.
Chair and Vice Chair, would like to come up
Yes.
here and-
Hello? Hello?
Hello, Mr. Fink. So at this time, we're not open for public comments.
Hello?
Hello, Mr. Fink. At this time, we are not open for public comments. Can you please mute yourself?
Okay.
Thank you.
The picture? Okay. Yeah.
We'll share. Diane?
Oh, yes, sorry.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
Great, thanks for doing it. And we'll want to get you over to the property to see the actual where the microgrids will go and some electric buses. See them out of the garage.
Forward to that. Okay, great. Okay, great.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, directors, thank you. And also want to just acknowledge the public for the flexibility to be able to just kind of monitor today's agenda. So thank you for that. So we will go back now. There was questions in regards to item 4-6. So if we can come back to that, and then we'll move on to the next item on the agenda. So Director Labar, if you can unmute yourself and ask your comments or questions at this time.
Thank you, Chair. A couple questions and then a comment. So as you're going through the study on this corridor, has there been any discussion or thought on using bus passes in lieu of parking spaces so we can increase density in TOD developments?
The question is, has there been thought of using bus passes as strategies to reduce single occupancy vehicles?
Parking.
Yes, so as the TOD development is being built, instead of a one space for every unit, eliminating a parking space so you can provide more units, but in lieu of that elimination, you get a bus pass for the month.
Got it. I think that would come in the strategy section, and I'll let Mike answer that question.
Right, so there's a couple of things with regards to parking regulations that we want to address. So as part of our background research, we have pulled all of the various parking ratios along the corridor. There has been some movement at the state level. There was something called AB 2097, which passed a couple of months ago, which got rid of parking minimums for within a half mile of high capacity transit. And so that doesn't mean that developers can't bring parking as part of their project. It's just that there's cities can't mandate higher levels of parking ratios around transit. So there's definitely a number of things that we do want to address related to those things. And then with regards to transit passes, I mean, that's definitely a very strong TDM strategy that we want to explore with how those can be built into some of these different development applications. And that in conjunction with other strategies then can start to further push down the parking ratios for some of these projects. So some of the ones that I showed in El Cerrito, which is actually the community I live in, I was on planning commission there for a couple of years. We were able to pass a plan that we had some flexibility to push parking ratios down to 0.5 actually in certain circumstances. So I think there's a number of those kinds of things that we want to bring together on the regulatory side as well as on the TDM side.
Thank you. And I know this study is limited to the quarter that was projected in the presentation, but I would like to know going forward, as you get this study done and you have this information in, our South County cities are going through our land use updates and our housing elements and our zoning updates. And with the addition of the circulars within our city, which to me brings in our small communities, almost everything becomes a TOD area, is how can we incorporate some of our planning and information into MST's overall or add on to this study so you have a more comprehensive countywide idea of where TOD opportunities could exist.
I think that's a good comment. This study was focused on the SURF because that's the current funding request, but I think there will be strategies that come out of this that could be applicable to other parts of the county.
All right, that's it. Thank you. Appreciated the presentation. Thank you, Chair.
Yeah, thank you. Great questions. And we'll look, as Director LaBarre said, many of our cities are in the process of general plan updates, and how do we really connect the TOD to that as well, with public transit. So, okay, thank you. And any other questions from those that are joining us via Zoom? Okay, seeing none, then any of those that are here in our boardroom. Okay, well, with that, thank you so much, Michelle. Director, you will be getting a copy of the slides as well. So if there's any additional questions that come up, please feel free to
Hello?
staff directly. Yes. Okay,